Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to discuss audio products I personally recommend in 2025. I will be providing a recommendation for an over-ear open-back headphone, a wired in-ear headphone, a portable Bluetooth speaker, a studio monitor, a subwoofer, a DAC and amp, and a microphone. So covering 7 common bases for audio needs. Starting off with open-back over-ear headphones, my recommendation is the Odyssey LCD5 planar magnetic headphones. I've had these headphones for around a couple years now, and despite the high price tag, I have not found a headphone which can match this in sound quality. There are several reasons for this. One, the internal pad circumference is very high for an over-ear headphone, so what this results in is the sound pressure occupying the volume of space is quite significant. So versus an on-ear headphone or a headphone without much pad circumference, the sound and physicality is of a larger scale than most headphones. And the headphone also has very low distortion, so you can boost the bass to match the PEC dB target or whatever target curve you want, and you won't hear any distortion and will still get clean and impactful bass response. The main selling point of this headphone, though, is the high frequency response. It is very smooth and well extended. There is a notch at around 7.5 kilohertz. This will depend on your ear. This is a common issue with over-ear headphones. There's no real way to get around this. This is just a design compromise. But all things considered, the high frequency response is very smooth and well extended. And if you look at the reseat variation of the LCD5, it's very consistent across different reseatings, and many headphones suffer in this regard. The engineering behind this headphone was definitely very meticulous. They went through a lot of work to minimize the pad reflections with this acoustic structure. So yeah, I highly recommend the Odyssey LCD5 if you want the best over-ear headphones money can buy. The next product I recommend is the Moondrop Variations. Of every in-ear headphone, the Moondrop Variations easily has the best treble response, and this is the main differentiating factor between earphones, especially after you consider EQ performance as well. If you look at a measurement of the Moondrop Variations on the BNK 5128 ear simulator compensated for the BNK 5128 diffuse field head related transfer function, it essentially measures like a wire. There has never been an earphone that is smoother than this. If you go into Tone Generator and do a sine sweep, you will not hear any peaks or dips. This is easily the best treble reproduction you can get in an in-ear headphone or even over-ear headphone. I would say that the high frequencies are clearer and more natural sounding on the Moondrop Variations than the Odyssey LCD5 actually, but you lose certain things like soundstage and bass impact. For me, the fit is great. They stay in my ears, have no issues with them. One thing that is potentially a bit annoying though is that you have to replace the filters inside the ear tips somewhat frequently depending on how much you wear them. They will fall out over time, but you can order them for a pretty low price on Shenzhen Audio's website, and these replacement tips are the same as the stock tips which come on them, and they're available on Amazon for like $5 for a few pairs. So in terms of serviceability, it's very high for the Variations. You're not going to have any issues. And with the default cable and the default orientation, these do have inverted absolute polarity, but on this modular connector area, this is not the stock cable, but on the modular connector area, you would just flip around the orientation to be the opposite direction, and then you would get correct polarity. And yeah, then the Moondrop Variations is a great platform. I would still EQ it, I guess depending on your unit. There's a bit of a 1.3 kilohertz peak, and it could have a bit more bass than the PEC dB IE target or whatever target you want. And it's very easy to EQ these headphones though because of how smooth the high frequency response is. So for that reason, this is easily the best in-ears you can buy. The next product on my recommendation list is the Bose SoundLink Flex 2nd generation. I do not have this product yet as it was only brought to my attention today by one of my Discord members. But if you look at the magnitude frequency response of the Bose SoundLink Flex 2nd generation, it is essentially perfectly flat aside from the sub bass, which is perfectly acceptable since this is a small speaker. If you just have one, it's going to play in mono, but if you get 2 of them, you can pair them and have them play stereo audio, and for $200, you're essentially getting endgame studio monitor sound aside from the lack of sub bass. This is a great option for home audio, being in the shower, even just going outside, carrying it on your backpack, having a party at your house. You can have speakers on either side, and you can just have great sound coming out of the Bose SoundLink Flex 2nd generation. The next product I recommend is the Neumann KH120 2nd generation. It is $2,000 for a pair of these speakers. It is definitely on the pricier end, but what you are getting is the best you can possibly get for a speaker, essentially. You can compare this to the Bose SoundLink Flex, but the Neumann KH120 2nd generation is going to have more output power. It's going to have a superior directivity index, and it's going to have a level of clarity that you just can't get from something like the Bose SoundLink Flex. The Neumann KH120 2nd generation has the flattest on-axis response you can possibly get in a speaker. It is dead flat. There are no tonal imperfections to be heard in this speaker. It's just godlike sound quality. And when you pair it with a subwoofer or a subwoofer system with proper digital signal processing, this is the best audio quality you're ever going to get. The subwoofer I recommend is the SVS PB2000. It has all the performance you need and is not ridiculously overpriced, although it is quite expensive. I previously used to recommend the Monoprice SW15, but the build quality is pretty bad with this speaker, with many people reporting failed units. In fact, with my first unit, I was carrying it upstairs and it stopped working, and I had to get a replacement unit. Of course, now it works fine, but it is a serious concern, I would say, and SVS has significantly higher build quality than something like a cheap Monoprice speaker would, and they've also increased the price a lot over the years of the Monoprice SW15. I remember when I got it, it was around $200 to $300. Now it's selling for over $400, and it's definitely not worth the price in that case for the build quality you're getting. So the SVS PB2000, you can look at the CTA 2010 results. Down to 20 hertz, you're getting nearly 113 decibels of output power. This is going to have all the power you need. You don't even need multiple of them, really. You can just have one cross at 80 hertz or 90 hertz with Neumann KH120 2nd generation loudspeakers, and you essentially have endgame audio quality then. The DAC and amp I recommend for portable use and headphones is the Qdelix 5K. It has a 3.5mm output and a 2.5mm balanced output. This is essentially like a magic device. There is no better DAC and amp overall than the Qdelix 5K. It has up to 30 bands total of parametric EQ. You can use 20 bands total for left and right channels combined, or 10 bands global with an additional 10 bands each for left and right, for a total of 30 bands. But it's also Bluetooth and has great battery life, negligible latency. This product is just amazing. I can't think of any DAC and amp on the market that beats this overall. For use with a speaker system, I recommend the Mini DSP Flex 2x4 Balanced or the Mini DSP 2x4 HT, depending on your needs. For a home theater system with more than just 2 channels, like a 5.1 system or something like that, I recommend the Mini DSP Flex HTX. You can easily route all the channels and use multi-sub optimizer with 3 or more subwoofers to get a perfect bass response unachievable with traditional means. And finally, the microphone I recommend is the Sennheiser MKH8020 omnidirectional microphone. The reason I recommend this microphone is that it has a very low self-noise, possibly the lowest of any omnidirectional classified microphone. The off-axis response is very smooth. The on-axis response is very smooth and natural sounding. This room is quite reverberant, so that's why this recording is going to sound quite reverberant, but it's going to sound accurate to whatever room or environment you are recording in, and for that reason I think that the MKH8020 is a fantastic microphone. It just does exactly what it's expected to do. For specific use cases, you can definitely argue that a directional microphone would be more appropriate, but I think all things considered, the most accurate microphone is going to be an omnidirectional microphone. I'll have Amazon affiliate links to all the products I mentioned, which are available on Amazon. I'll also link to the Mini DSP products as well. But yeah, if you want the best products for any audio class, just get what I recommend. There's nothing else worth getting.